A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of Newsfirst Weekend, coming to you live from our Newsfirst studios in Colombo. I'm Arundhati Dannayaga. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
Over 20,000 people affected by heavy downpours. Spill gates of 22 reservoirs opened. Rock collapses on a home in Kirulapana. Orange rains experienced in Padir Thalava. Avant-garde continues to heat up the political arena.
Avant-garde එකේ මිනයහ දිගටම මේ අපිව පරද්දන්නට කෝටි ප්‍රකෝටි ගණන් මහින්ද රාජපක්ෂ නිවේදන් කරනවා.
හොරුන්ගේ ග්‍රහණයෙන් මිදෙන්නට අද කාලය එළඹිලා තිබෙනවා.
French police identify Algerian French citizen as first of the Paris attackers.
President Maithripala Sirisena presided over the annual Katina Puja of the International Vipassana Meditation Center in Colombo today. While President Maithripala Sirisena and his family bear the cost of this year's Katina Puja, the museum, which was constructed in the name of the late Venerable Haris Patwe Aryawansha Lankar Thera, was declared open by the President. President Sirisena, who took part in the all-night Pirit chanting ceremony, thereafter participated in the bringing in of the Katina Chivaraya. Other religious observances were also held under the auspices of President Maithripala Sirisena today. Now, as the weather continues to batter the island, Newsfirst looked into the effects the weather has had in the city of Colombo, the centre of economic activity in the country. A large number of people visit Colombo on a daily basis, not merely because it is the commercial capital of Sri Lanka. One of the reasons why Colombo is considered a central point to many is due to the fact that all modes of transport to travel to other parts of the island, including SLTB and private buses as well as trains, commence their journeys from Colombo. The other reason is that the headquarters of various ministries and institutions are also based in Colombo. However, during rainfall, many crossroads in Colombo transform into mud puddles and waterholes.
Look at how all these roads have now been destroyed. They say that Colombo is being developed, but these roads continue to remain the same. Regardless of what government it is, this road has been the same. The government earns tons of taxes, but they dig up drains and leave it as it is. This transforms into hell when it rains here, but there is no one to look into it. Peta becomes hell when it rains, but no one from the government looks into this. See how much water has filled up in Olcott Place and Gunasinghapura.
The rainy weather directly impacts businesses, including street vendors who rely on pedestrian traffic for their bread and butter. Because of this drain, houses here get flooded for the slightest rain and it is dirty water. This is how we are living. Our children become ill due to this. We are living difficult lives. Please help us if you can. During rains, the number of potholes, open drains and unfinished road constructions are countless. Weather forecasts have suggested that the prevailing inclement weather conditions will continue to develop in the next few days. Newsfirst Bernadine Jasinger brings us the details on the climate change and disasters caused by it.
Many areas across the island wide experienced heavy rainfall today. The highest rainfall was recorded in Jaffna during the last 24 hours.
Spill gates of 22 of the main reservoirs in the country have been opened. Among them are 10 tanks in Anuradhapura and 9 in Batiklo. The Lunugam-Vehera and Veheragala reservoirs in Hambantota and the Dedro Oya in Kurunagala are also among them.
The spill gates of 22 reservoirs have been opened owing to the incessant rains. A majority of the spill gates were opened in the Anuradhapura district.
All spill gates of the Rajangana and Nachadua reservoirs have also been opened. While the Nuora River has overflowed due to the heavy rainfall, byroads at the sacred city are also inundated due to the Malwatu Oya breaking its banks. The prevalent heavy rains has also had a heavier impact in the north. Mana had recorded a rainfall of 115 millimeters as of 12 this noon. 131 families in Mullaitivu and 65 families in Kilinochchi, 2,000 families in Jaffna were affected by the heavy rain. 3 camps in Kilinochchi and 8 camps in Mullaitivu are in operation to house the displaced persons. Several entry roads to Jaffna are also obstructed owing to the heavy rains.
The low pressure zone has resulted in heavy showers over the island. The Met Department states that this situation will continue in the coming days.
A relief camp has been set up in Putlam to house 757 of the families. Several villages in Dambulla are inundated due to the Dambulla Oya overflowing as a result of the rains which have been persisting since yesterday. The Ulukatavava area, which comes under the purview of the Palagala Divisional Secretariat in Kakirava, is flooded due to the Mirisgonia Oya breaking its banks. 100 houses in the Dambulla town have been flooded due to the overflowing of the Thammanna Ella. Our correspondent stated that those affected have been placed in temporary camps. Sigiriya is also facing the risk of floods. The Puakpitia town in Galevala was inundated due to the overflow of the Galapaulu River. According to our correspondent, vehicular movement along the Colombo-Anuradhapura, Colombo-Polonnaruwa and Colombo-Trincomalee roads were hampered. Residents of 350 homes in the Mai Kulama area in Chilau, who were affected by the incessant rains, have been housed in temporary locations in Dimbilla, Chilau. Around 50 acres of paddy land in the Ilukweva area have been affected due to the overflow of the Yana Oya in Galen Bindunuweva. Meanwhile, the Galen Bindunuweva Dutuweva road was inundated due to the overflow of the Getalava River. Our correspondent stated that the 22-mile post area had been affected due to the overflow of the Hingu River in Galen Bindunuweva. Meanwhile, the water levels of the Huruluweva reservoir in Galen Bindunuweva is increasing rapidly. 5,942 families in the Kuchaveli and Nagaraha Kadava areas in the Trincomalee district have been affected due to the floods. Several alternative routes in Vaunia are inundated due to the overflowing of the Pawa Kulama River. Meanwhile, the Department of Meteorology says that the sea areas around the island will be very rough at times as the winds can be strengthened up to 70 to 80 kilometers per hour.
The Met Department has warned against fishing in the northern, eastern, northwestern and southern sea areas.
A house in the Polhengoda, Nugahapura area in Killapane was damaged after a mound of earth collapsed on it. Locals in the area charge that their homes are at risk due to the earth embankment. Meanwhile, according to our correspondent, orange-coloured rainfall was reported in the Padya Talava area.
A media briefing was held in Galle today over the controversial avant-garde issue. This media briefing was organised by the Deshabhimani National Front.
Certain ministers are undertaking several activities to suppress the avant-garde issue. Kumar Dissanayaka highlighted their names in Parliament. I state this with responsibility today. Vijayadasa Rajapaksa has said that he will not allow the arrest of Gotabaya Rajapaksa. There is a major question regarding whether the Justice Minister is able to make such a statement. As soon as the presidential election concluded, the UNP leader in this district put his arm around the avant-garde chairman's shoulder and took him to meet the president. I do not need to say that he helped the person whom he was loyal to and connected to.
Speaking at an event held yesterday, Minister Dwajit Sinaratne too commented on the avant-garde issue.
We dismantled the government and formed a government. We did not form this government to carry on with those who climbed onto the shoulders of the last government. We did not do this to get those who helped the last government and those who pumped petrol for the last government to pump petrol for us as well. Certain people are speaking without shame today. Certain people took the boss of avant-garde to meet the president the day after the election to show that avant-garde supported the president's victory. The avant-garde boss spent tens of millions on Mahinda Rajapaksa in order to defeat us. Minister Ravi Karunanayake said earlier that it was this person that shot at the UNPs decorating central Colombo for our final rally. Now UNP ministers are speaking for people who shot at UNP supporters.
Now, speaking at a public meeting in Kisa Maharama today, Minister Sajid Premadasa expressed his views about certain politicos who try to influence the government.
දේශපාලනයේ නාමෙන් රට දේශපාලුවට
The time has come for the people of this country to render their support to this great revolution of getting rid of the rogues who destroy the country in the name of politics. The President and the Prime Minister have clearly stated that there is no room for thievery, thuggery, drugs, ethanol or weapon deals in this government of good governance, and that politicians cannot get involved in any of this, nor can they misuse state finances or resources. The time has come for us to free ourselves from the clutches of thievery. Therefore, I would like to give this clear message to the people of this country. Please remember that there are no two sides either in the UNP or in the national government when it comes to putting an end to the era of thieves.
පිල් දෙකක් නැහැ. එක පිලයි තියෙන්නේ. ඒ පිල තමයි.
Two of the political prisoners were released several days ago, convened a media briefing in Jaffna today.
Tamil parliamentarians censored what we said when speaking to the media. For 67 years, these governments have deceived us. When it comes to securing the release of political prisoners, the TNA must be proactive and must not limit itself to simply issuing media statements. Our comrades are on hunger strike and they do not take water or medicine. They are in a battle between life and death. If any of them die, the TNA should be held directly responsible. 4 of the political prisoners who are engaged in a now 8-day-long hunger strike were admitted to the Valikada Prison Hospital today. Speaking to Newsfirst, the Commissioner General of Prisons, Rohana Pushpakumara, said their condition is not critical.
Are school students across the country at risk of being deprived of the free school uniforms provided by the state? Tonight, on the first part of an Action TV investigation, our focus is the free school uniform program.
While the free school uniform program is a source of great relief for the underprivileged, its contribution to the beautification of the country's schools is also evident. This is because it helps to showcase equality among school students from Colombo 7 to the jungles of the Wanni. The program, which was successfully implemented for 9 years since its inception, turned into chaos in 2003. In 2003, the United National Front government, which was elected in 2001, received its first opportunity to implement the entire process of the free school uniform program, from the calling of tenders to gifting the uniforms to students. By that time, while a Minister of Education had been appointed, a minister in charge of school education was also appointed. The congestion of the fax machines in Isirupaya come the final day of the first school term was symbolic of the chaos in the free school uniform program, even when there were 2 ministers to oversee its implementation. For the first 4 months of the year, Grama Niladaris and divisional secretaries across the island had to bear a great burden while sending files to the Education Ministry, since the responsibility of issuing coupons for students to collect uniforms from school uniform cooperatives and the Samurdhi banks was vested with them.
This is a new program. In some areas, coupons which should have been given to parents have changed hands among Grama Niladaris. Some Grama Niladaris have received coupons for areas which are not under their purview. I think this is an internal matter and a problem that has occurred in the divisional secretariats.
As a result of the Education Ministry unloading its responsibility on the divisional secretariats, many students had not received their school uniforms even after the second term of 2003 had concluded.
There can be shortcomings in any system. Even in the most developed country in the world, the USA, not everything they do is successful. For example, people do not say that America made the right decision in going to Iraq.
Although such attempts were made to use examples of international relations, failure to justify the failure of giving school students their uniforms on time may be as a result of both ministers realizing that the system used for 9 years prior to this had worked seamlessly. In 2004, normalcy had been restored to the free school uniform program. The government, which came into power in January this year, should have thereby followed suit and distributed the free school uniforms which had been ordered by the previous government. The new government is now accountable for the entire process surrounding the free uniforms that will be distributed among students on the 4th of December. There are now signs that some unnecessary innovation may have been used for this simple task.
We studied this well. We found serious problems with the material being used. Therefore, we have decided to distribute the money among the 4.3 million school students. It will be gifted via a voucher. We will not simply give them the money because that would mean that they could use it for other purposes. We will formulate a proper system for this in the coming week. The money that will be given will suffice to purchase materials and to have the uniform tailored. They might even have some money left over afterwards.
Tomorrow on Action TV, we take a look at the facts and motivations surrounding the reintroduction of the coupon system, which failed in 2003 under the guise of a voucher system.
Let's now take a look at some of the views expressed in the political arena.
I believe that as a government, our President and our Prime Minister have allocated more funds than ever before for education. This is our policy. If this country is to develop, we need to raise our education standards to be on par with education in developed countries. This is why we are prepared to invest as much as possible in the country's education. We do not have an education policy, we do not have a health policy, we do not have a permanent foreign policy. All of these need to be established in the coming 2 years with everyone's consent. If this country is to move forward, we need to make some policy changes. At the same time, the people are facing many difficulties. People do not have homes. People do not have ownership of the land on which they live. We are gradually increasing home ownership. One of the key features of this budget is that we will introduce several facilities to construct homes for people. Certain people are thinking and indeed hoping that the government will collapse and that this government's time will end when the budget is introduced. It is not good to hope for premature childbirth. This government will not collapse. I state with confidence that this government will continue. Some say that there are two groups in this government competing against each other. Yes, we compete. We work towards the victory of the SLFP-led alliance, and the others are working towards the victory of the UNP. But this is not an obstacle to the unity between us. This will not break the national government. We will separate at election time and join together again to work for the country.
Still in local news, former Minister Mervyn Silva met with the media today following a long absence.
Mervyn Silva attended a program held in Tisamarama today to spread the legacy of Anagarika Dharmapala. Journalists questioned the minister on whether he was hoping to contest elections from the Tisamarama electorate. The people want this from me, so we shall see what happens in the future. When Prince Siddhartha became the Buddha, he was from the Brahma region. Did people ask Prince Siddhartha which religion he was becoming the Buddha from? I am a good Sinhala Buddhist, but I will join a political party which the people like and which does not have any problems.
A book launch titled Understanding Conceptions of Law, organised by the Royal Institute of Colombo, was held at the BMICH yesterday.
The event was graced by UNP parliamentarian Tilak Marapana.
The law is nothing but an echo of one's conscience, because if you act conscientiously, you will be definitely acting within the law. If you would just pause for a minute and think of it in a very logical way, your conscience will prompt you the right answer, I think.
The book was authored by Dr. H.J.F. Silva, the Vice President of the Commonwealth Legal Education Association and the former Principal of the Sri Lanka Law College.
Let's take a look at more local news in brief.
A motor accident took place in the Paragastota area in close proximity to the 20th mile post on the Southern Expressway when a van collided onto a security fence. Our correspondent said that 4 people were injured in the accident and that 1 person is in critical condition. The injured are being treated at the Nagodu Hospital in Kaluthura. A pedestrian was killed last night in the Kaluwalla area in Galle when he was run over by a motorcycle travelling to Galle. CCTV footage shows how the accident occurred. The motorcyclist also succumbed to his injuries upon admission to hospital this afternoon. An individual was stabbed to death with the use of a sharp weapon at a musical show in the Sitawaka area in Avisavala last night. The victim was a 35-year-old bachelor of the Heniton area in Avisavala.
Kids First mascot Benz of the Beagle secured 2 wins today at the International Dog Show organised by the Kennel Association of Sri Lanka.
The International Dog Show was held in Sri Lanka for the first time. It was held at the Excel World Complex in Colombo. Dogs from countries including India, Germany and Hungary took part in this event. The best dogs from each breed were also chosen in the competition. Benson was placed first among the beagles. Benson was also placed first in the Basset Hound category.
In sports news this evening, the finals of the swimming events of the National Games were held today, with the Western Province team emerging champions. The Central Province team were the runners-up.
The finals of the swimming events of the 41st National Games were held at the Sugadadasa Indoor Swimming Pool Complex in Colombo. The Western Province team claimed the overall championship today with a medal tally of 47, which included 19 gold medals. The Central Province team won 35 medals, including 14 gold, and the Southern Province team won 8 medals, including 1 gold. 9 tournament records were set at the swimming finals of the National Games. Jeffrey Dulapandan's 1997 record in the 200 meters butterfly stroke event was broken after a lapse of 18 years by S.B. De Silva from the Central Province. De Silva won the award for the best swimmer in the men's category, while the women's award was won by I.E. Ekanayaka of the Western Province.
With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a pleasant week ahead of you.